Testing. 127. And here I come. Are we ready?
Aye, aye, Captain.
Oh. Go. Well, I'm Goomba.
I'm Genesis.
And this is?
Let's see how this goes.
With less sun this time. Damn it, look at it, it's coming.
As soon as you said it.
It hasn't been sunny for days. Days. And as soon as we try to film, it's like, oh.
Usually the light's a good thing.
Well.
What? So this week we promised we would talk about pros of being in an age gap relationship. So we got some things jotted down that we'd like to share with you all.
Well, last week we did cons, which turns out, this is going to sound terrible, it was easier thinking of cons because they're easier to apply to more relationships than pros are. Yeah,
pros I think are pretty...
not as generic.
Yeah, they're pretty specific for each couple.
Yeah. But anyway, happy Valentine's Day!
Yes, happy Valentine's Day.
If you care.
I care about my hair. Look at
so
it.
Now you care.
I care about it every day. So you want to jump into number one?
Sure. So, again, not with every age gap couple, obviously. These are just some things we think might be more generic. Generic. But there's tons of stories. Never run out of stories. Because one of them's obviously older, lived longer, has more stories, and then you've been at different parts of your life at different times and at different decades, usually. So just tons of stories you can tell each other. But our age gap isn't that drastic, so it's not like we have decades of different stories.
I don't know what your first movie was that you've seen in theaters, but mine was Toy Story.
I do not remember. I feel like it was Brother Bear, and I wanted to see it 2 more times in theaters, and I did.
It's a lovely story.
The second pro.
Yes, the second pro would be new experiences.
But anyway, for the new experiences, as Genesis so much elaborated on, because he grew up in a different time period than I, slightly. We have different things we like to do when we grew up, so we try different things. Or he grew up in a slightly different part of the state, not super far away.
Right.
But I didn't get out much, so all the things seeing where he lived was new, and then where I lived was new to him. And then, because I've never been one to snowmobiles or stuff, and you take me for rides.
Yep, we go up to the cabin and we do snowmobile up there, snowboards, but you still want me to show you
snowboarding,
yes, and sleds. And...
Or what have I shown you?
Well,
going to the big lake. Swimming. Yeah,
Lake Michigan. Going out to Lake Shore. There's one that you told me about that I'm looking forward to. Still is going to the deer.
Oh, I haven't been there.
Deer farm. Oh,
I've looked at it.
Anderson and Girls, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
You've been there before, and one of the dates we went on when we were first together was it Boulder Ridge or Boulder Creek or Boulder City?
It was a zoo. That was a surprise thing I set up the whole day for us.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. And you said you went there before with one of your friends?
All the things you're saying that I've introduced you to are animal related. And that's not with, again, every age gap couple, but I just feel like if we were the same age, it wouldn't be as
interesting, or
not as many things to explore.
Yeah.
Or if we lived in the same town.
Yeah. So new experiences could be both location-wise, or location-based, or age-based. It's a little bit of both, I feel like. The third pro.
I need a sip of agua.
Learn to understand different age groups better. A lot of references that she made when we first were dating, I didn't quite understand, but now that I do. That's also me living under a rock because, again, I'm not big into, pop culture really much.
I meant it more of, a younger person, if they're dating someone older, can learn how to better interact with people that are that age as well that isn't their significant other. like if you're being interviewed by someone of that age, you kind of get a better understanding of their mentality.
That's true. Like interview for jobs, whatever. If you
or just like sometimes a generational thing.
Yeah.
Or like you can understand what the kids are talking about these days.
Something like that.
You just learn more about different age groups more than you would, I think, if you dated someone in your own group.
Right, and especially like the biggest influence I feel like that something that you've been a part of that's affected me was the whole like Jenna Marbles YouTube kind of thing.
I love Jenna Marbles. That's pretty much the one person I watched on YouTube for years. I'm not a big YouTube person.
Yeah, and I never was. Like the only time I would ever watch something on YouTube would be like a walkthrough for a video game or like finding where an item was. Like I never considered like watching YouTube for entertainment, I guess. Yeah, because I mean, growing up, that's like TV, like satellite, like that's what that was for.
But when you don't have TV.
Yes, moving out. That was interesting. But yeah, so she would watch Jenna Marbles in her free time, and it was when she didn't have anything to do or wanted to watch something, she would put YouTube on. And that's definitely something that she rubbed off on me with, because I find myself doing that more and more, is jumping on YouTube, finding something to watch in my free time.
Number 4 is when you're willing to put the time in to be with an age gap relationship, you're more likely to be on the same maturity level. Because if you just like casually start dating someone in your own age group, that doesn't necessarily mean they're on the same maturity level as you. Because they could be like, you're mature here, but they're mature here. And there's always older people that are going to be less mature, or younger people are going to be more mature. But when you find an age gap relationship that just seems to work, usually your mentality is about the same level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there's some age gap couples out there just because, like, older significant other is just their thing. That's what they enjoy. But when you, like, with us, when we met and we didn't realize how big of an age difference there were, like, you get to know the person, but you care less about something that they have no control over. Because, like, I couldn't control being born when I was, and you couldn't control where you were being born. So I was more interested in, like, who you were as a person.
And then I just thought of a fifth pro as well.
Go ahead.
If we're in an age gap relationship, you just tend to be less judgy of different relationships or different people. Like some people might see an even bigger age gap couple with us and be like, oh, gold digger. But we're like, oh, they're probably living a nice, decent life. Or
that's okay. What you hope, anyways.
Yeah,
like,
or you're just like, okay, go about your day. Some people just can't seem to do that.
Yeah, well, some people can't mind their own business, and that's a shame.
Is there anything you wanted to put on top of that, or no? Have you been less judgy since we've been together?
I don't think I've been less judgy, but I feel like I see age gap couples more often now that I'm in one. Because before, I guess I didn't really...
The age gap community is actually very nice.
Yes. So far, we've had nothing but warm welcomes to people. Everybody's been super nice and welcoming and understanding. So super appreciate it.
Because they're less judgy.
You lay it out there for them.
Huh?
So, I'm trying to put myself in people's shoes more, because I'm in an age gap couple, and I feel like some people would be... it would serve them good to try and put themselves in our shoes. Pros for us, we were at the same stage in life when we met.
Same stages, similar stages.
Yeah, we were both in college, working towards a degree.
That's where we met.
Both living with our parents when we met. Both didn't really have much of a savings. So
didn't have the most stellar jobs.
Nope.
So not the bestest times in our life.
Nope.
Both single.
Yeah.
Thankfully. Single and ready to mingle.
I call it single and ready to flamingo. I just like that phrase. Like, single ready to flamingo.
Good call. So that helped us, even though it's a gap. Still same stages of life.
Yeah, it gave us a lot of common ground to build our relationship on.
Yeah. And now we've grown together, so we're both on the same stage of life.
Still.
Yeah. In a much better one.
Yeah, fingers crossed it keeps that way.
Yay. Then this is, for us, we debated on making it a generic one, but there is less pressure for us to have kids. Especially on the lady side. Like, you're young, you gotta get married, you gotta pop out some babies. You're only fertile for so long. But with an age gap couple, if the man is older, and for instance, not that he's drastically older than me, people will be like, oh, maybe because he doesn't want to be this age when his kids are just graduating, they might not have kids. Which is judgmental on their part, but it's true for some people.
Yeah.
Or if the lady's the older one, like, she might not even be able to have kids anymore. So, the younger guy or younger lady, like, they're not gonna, like, pressure, like, when are you gonna have kids? Well, awkwardly, she can't have them.
Yeah, right.
Or, you may join a relationship and they already have kids, and you're like, sweet, I didn't want to give birth, I'll love these little munchkins.
That's a glass half full way
Yeah.
of looking at it, and that's, I feel like, a good way to do it. I'm having a good day.
Valentine. And then, finally, take it away, honey.
You learned pop culture references together.
We did.
Yes,
Not
we did.
every. Well, if you thought he lives under a rock, I just lived under a smaller rock that was easier to lift.
That's a nice metaphor.
Came up with it on the spot because I wasn't into a lot of pop culture things. Like, I know, like, the big stuff, like Lady Gaga, Beyonce.
You can know the difference between Taylor Swift and Miley Cyrus.
I'm very talented. So, like, learning, especially, like, slang or, like, text lingo, I have no idea.
Oh.
Like, I know LOL, BRB, like, the OG ones. I know what OG is. But, like, things like that, we're like, what does that mean? He's like, I don't know. So we Google it, like, dorks. He's like, oh, is this person? I'm like, I don't get it. He's like, it was this guy in this movie. I'm like, oh, that one.
Yeah, it's nice to, once you bridge the gap, then you can, like, start growing together, too.
So we learned pop culture references together, which I thought was kind of fun.
Yeah, like, who's this? Like, oh, Google says it's this person. Like, oh, okay.
Or you know this person because of this, honey.
Yes. Well, thank goodness for the internet
Yeah.
to give us all this wealth of knowledge.
Well, any more?
That's pretty good.
The pros aren't as, like, shocking as the cons. But, it's funny that we mentioned the cons, that dealing with children situation could be a con. But in the next one, we're like, you don't have to have kids. No one's gonna make you.
That's true.
So, kids can be a pro or a con, depending on you and your partner. Well, a good spirit of pop culture, TTYL,